Today I want to give you an update on using Asahi Linux after a year and a half plus of working with it. I did a video, and you can check that out right here. I'd like to take a moment and thank the sponsors of this channel, the members of Patreon, as well as the members of the channel through YouTube. Thank you so much for your support and helping bring this content in a higher quality than it would be possible otherwise. Thank you so much for your support. I sure do appreciate it. On the initial setup for an M1 Mac Mini, that initial build was Arch Linux. Asahi Linux has come a long way. So back then, you had basic control over the machine. And by basic, I mean you had access to the network, you had access to the USB connections and memory and disk and all those kinds of things. But you have to split your Mac into Mac OS, and then you dedicate so much space for Asahi Linux when you set it up. And you go through a couple of steps in order to set up permissions so that Apple will allow it to boot properly and come up. And that was good. It all worked, and that video showed that. The performance of it was pretty good, but you could tell that it was still struggling a little bit with certain applications that were using graphics. In August, there was some progress made. They were working, so I was running this like, use at your own risk kind of thing. It wasn't even at alpha status yet. So in March of 2022, they started to build out a build that would be stable, or at least they felt it was at least good enough that you could start to use. They still said, no, don't put this in production, but I did. I never listened. So because it felt stable to me, I wasn't having any crashes or anything weird. In July of 2022, they added support for the M2. Now, I just have an M1. It's just a plain old 4-core M1 Mac Mini with four performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. So there was more updates, and then all of a sudden, they had something that would use the native GPU on the Mac Mini. And wow, did that make a difference. All of a sudden, anything graphical came to life, and it actually started working very well. I can't remember of any bumps or any problems with it. It just worked. So, and that was around December of 2022 when they felt they had enough polish on it that it was ready for adoption at that point. So they started working after that on Vulkan support, and I think they also started working on OpenGL support, which would of course bring in more Unix that would bring in more Linux applications that were graphical oriented. And so, yeah, it just got better and better. They had some interest, I guess, that was drawn from the Fedora team. And so last year in August, they released their first version of Fedora KDE on the platform. And so I took that time. I wanted to kind of clean off the old junk and build this up again using the install scripts. That I had to get rid of the old environment. There was some scary moments where you had to carefully remove the partitions that the old Asahi Linux was sitting on, and then bring in the new one when you were all done. And I'd say scary because a misstep would have meant a trip to the Apple Store to have the machine return to factory defaults because it would have bricked itself. So, yeah, but it went smooth. Everything worked. I took my time and I double checked and triple checked, made sure that every step I was making I was touching the right partitions. And yeah, and it went in. Today, I just converted another Mac over to running a Fedora remix, today, not only can you get KDE, you can also get GNOME. There is a build now that you can choose for a minimal version of Fedora and also a server platform of Fedora as well. And of course, you still have the Arch install if you prefer that. So in the time that I have been using this ever since I did my initial video on it, and for making these videos, and in fact, I'm using it right now as I'm doing this video with you. Today they support both M1 and M2. They support the M1 Pro, the M1 Ultra, the M2. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about all the specifics of the M2. I don't have one, but they don't yet support the M3. Now I don't know what their timetable is. The Asahi team is a hard-working bunch of people, and it's amazing the amount of progress that they have made in taking a machine like this and moving it. I know that one of the other projects they have going is I don't know how seriously they're working on it. I mean, I'm not involved with the project, but they do have Thunderbolt support on their roadmap, and of course, that's just going to add additional capabilities to the machine when and if they get that working. So, but as far as the ability to run jobs, my benchmarks of it have actually beat both 10th and 12th gen mobile Intel platforms. Now, desktop platforms, no, no, it hasn't caught up quite with that. Not the M1 anyway. But I have not tested the M1 Pro yet to see what it does. So we'll get to that at some point down the road. Yeah, I'm taking my time using this as a daily basis for everything I do. So it works, and it works very well. It's stable. I mean, the only time that it has crashed is once in the early times there was a bug that if you ran, I think it was Vert Viewer, which I used to get Spice running between the Asahi Linux and my Proxmox server to be able to show the VMs that you see in full screen. So way back, there was a bug that when you exited Vert Viewer, your machine would just go it would black screen. But that's been fixed a long time ago. I have not experienced any kind of hang-ups or freezes or weird audio events. It just works. My overall impressions of Asahi Linux is for what I do. Now I can't speak to every possible thing that people might use Linux for. I can just tell you that in the past year, producing videos, being able to replay videos, being able to record audio, being able to merge video content in with the recorder through HDMI, it works great. It's flawless. Even at 60 frames per second at 1980 by 1920 by 1080, it just works. So, I mean, that's all I want. I don't know. I have not tried 4K. I don't have a 4K monitor or anything, but it just works, and it just works fine. And that's all I have to say about it. And I hope you enjoyed this video today. And as always, please share this out with your friends. And I hope to see you in the next video, and bye for now.